So I was starting to get interested in the Romanov's story. I think it was like 8 years ago. And I read about history and read about their family, and that they pretty much were the first like social media family out there. They took a lot of pictures, and they were shown, like the first family that actually was shown out there in a similar manner like we do today. I remember I become obsessed with stories, events, people when there is something I'm supposed to know, something I'm supposed to learn, something that is an ongoing thing happening. I left this storyline a while ago, and now it's coming back. And it came back because I've heard online that people kind of really want Putin to be a reincarnation of Hitler. And that energy doesn't resonate with me at all. I'm listening, but that is, you often have a purpose with some kind of reincarnation when we are speaking about people like this. And it doesn't really fit. It just, I get it. You kind of want to see evil, and I don't know. But it made me think about, but who would I, if I would pick anybody, then who would I pick for that kind of a event? And I would say the Tsar that was like the last one in Russia who was shot, or he abdicated, I think. I stumbled upon an article this morning that said that if he had died, if the Russian Tsar, I think his name was Nicholas, if he had died after 10 years of ruling Russia, he would have been seen as like a good one, fairly good one. But after something happened that made him like really not do a good job, it just collapsed after that. And I'm not so sure exactly what happened. I need to kind of read a book or read some more about it, but it was about isolation, not listening to his people, and I think that's interesting because he was seen as weak, and his wife, he was married for love. His wife Alexandra was seen as vindictive and very spiritual, and not a good fit to be in the position that she was. And then we have Rasputin, like this combination of those two leaning towards someone like Rasputin. And the last time I kind of looked Rasputin up, the stories are kind of divided. People say that either he was extremely evil or he was extremely kind. He was just misunderstood. He just knew spirituality and people were just afraid of it. I obviously think something in between. He probably strategized to get, if we know our Russians, to get something for his own. To survive, to flourish, prosper, I don't know. But that is how the Russians seem to go at it. Not all of them, but it's pretty like significant with the Russian people. I just thought that it was kind of an interesting take on it because Nikolaus was born into power. He just couldn't hold on to it. Putin kind of needed to grab power and is holding on for dear life. 25 years, and is getting scrutinized. He is getting it's not democracy, which it isn't. And from what I've learned, it's not a democratic country. It's the oligarchs that kind of decides how it goes. I think that Putin has always been afraid of assassination. Like, it's a really deep-rooted fear. And Nikolaus was shot and murdered. Nikolaus had his family around him. It's like pictures. It was like a united front. He had all these girls and just one boy. Putin pretty much has no one. They try to kind of put out there some kind of, but he is alone. He's like, I learned my lesson. If people know that I have a family, they come after them. Like, they would kill them all. So no pictures, no family events. Only me. I'm here alone. Like, if something happens, it happens to me. What's more, Nikolaus was seen as weak, soft. I'm not so sure if that's true though, because what I read this morning, it was like he came in clinch with people. But what I've heard, like, generally, people say that he was soft, weak, and the only thing that Putin has like hanging over him is that he can't go soft. He can't show weakness. He can't be nice. He can't be, because that is going to be his downfall. And the funny thing is that I'm reading this book where in the beginning of his career as a president, people actually say that he was kind of nice, polite. He was like a soft person that probably will sit in this position for like 4 years, then he's done. And then he just ended up in a complete mess that he couldn't take himself out of, so he had to continue. And for me, that kind of makes sense, to be completely honest. He has also said that he's never going to abdicate. So, okay, which is probably going to happen, to be frank. I think he's going to leave. Don't say stuff. I'm just saying, just don't say stuff. What I'm going with this is that even if he's not like a reincarnation of the Tsar himself, I think he's put on this. Now I'm back. I ended my kind of research a while ago with, I don't think you can kill a family, a royal family that has ruled Russia for 300 years, and not have any karma attached to it. I couldn't take it longer than that at that moment. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how to fix it either. I don't think you can do that, because nothing became like better after either. It's like, if we look at the men that came after, first with the Soviet Union and then as the Russian president. I think Putin started off good, and all the books kind of leans towards it, and then it just went downhill. So that I kind of ended with some time ago. My hair, Jesus. This morning I ended up reading about the 2 children that hasn't yet been buried, and they are like, it's the Orthodox Church that is keeping them from being buried. And they have done a lot of research. They have done like what they can to kind of say that, yeah, it is Alexei and Maria. It is the royal family. It is the two missing children that was kind of dragged or buried into another place than the rest of the family. And it was also the person that agreed on doing that, like bury the bodies. There was a demand from whomever, I don't know, was it Stalin, that said that don't ever do it in a way that will like make this story never come out. Like people will never know what actually happened to this family. And I think in this article it says that the person that has taken on like doing the job actually didn't do that. They didn't make all the evidence go away. I did a reading on if the chill. It's real. This is actually the first time I'm starting to cry when reading about them, watching anything about them, and speaking about them. I'm usually kind of neutral. This time it's extremely emotional though. I did a reading and asked, is it Alexei and Maria, those two skeletons, bodies that hasn't been buried yet? And it was like, yes. it was just like scream at me. Yes, like yes, it is. So then I just started like crying because it was so sad in a way. It is a cycle that needs to end. In this article, they seemed to say that everybody's waiting for Putin to end it, to kind of decide over the church, I guess. Like, yeah, no, we need to close this. And it makes sense. Like, if he actually is like a reincarnation of Nikolaus the Tsar that got shot, he would want his children to be reunited. Like, you get it if it is, or if it just like he had agreed on doing so. He obviously has, like, he cannot do it, not put that in like a closure, but that would be sad because I feel that it's time for it. It's time to kind of end this. When I love the movie Anastasia, and like a week ago or two, I saw the scene with. I'm sorry. I saw the scene where she is walking into the ballroom. This is the first time I'm ever crying over like speaking about the Romanovs. She's walking into the ballroom and her father is there and they dance. And if you've seen Anastasia, you know which scene I'm like referring to. And that scene kind of stuck with me, like a child being reunited with. Whew. Yeah, I'm more certain than ever that I'm completely right here, because I usually don't react. I have quite neutral way of dealing with issues that I'm kind of speaking about. But this one, it's like the souls wants to scream at me. It's us. Bury us with our family. And depending on whatever kind of fits, if he is the reincarnation, then I think Putin actually needs to I know he knows. I know he is very kind of obsessed with like history or Russian Tsar thing. Like someone said years ago that he wanted to be like a Tsar or something, and you can't because that doesn't exist in Russia any longer. If Russia doesn't like bring it back around, because they seem to want that kind of thing, the greatness of it, but at the same time they didn't do that good of a job the last time. But the presidents you have had after doesn't seem to have been doing a great thing either. You are more isolated than you ever have been. And there's a lot of things that kind of like it's attached to what Nikolaus and his family kind of went through, like windows being like painted so they couldn't look out when they were in exile, or when they were I think it was Stalin that kind of kept them in a house somewhere, first in Siberia and then somewhere else, and how they kind of restricted them from like the outside world. It kind of makes sense when I start to, and this is just the small part that I know. I'm not good at like the details of something or kind of know everything in my head. I'm more so like the general feel of it, the general meaning of stuff. Why someone else, probably Putin, would be extremely good at kind of pinpoint all the details, have everything remembered to a T. Yeah, this energy is starting to leave me now. This is pretty much what I guess wanted to come through today. It became a tad bit very spiritual this morning, and I think I am kind of wrapping this up now. I'm not so sure that their story is going to be kind of spoken about or put in complete light ever, but I think they want to. I think they want to, like, our lives mattered. It was more of a brutal last living thing than I actually knew about. I thought they were fine until they got shot. That is not the case. And I think that is probably what should be come out. That what actually did happen between his abdication and the night of the family being killed by the Bolshevik, I think it was. Yeah, I'm going to read books about them again to see if I get anything more clear, but I think that this is what I was supposed to know. It took a while, it took some time, it took a couple of years. But it comes when it has to, it comes when it needs to. And I think Putin needs to figure that one out, and what resonates with him, what doesn't resonate, what he can do and what he can't do. I can only just put it out there that the universe is asking him to close something out, the family wants to be reunited. Yes, it is the children. There is absolutely, like, no, I'm not budging like an inch of that. It is hard to explain a feeling like that, and like the emotions, the longing, the like a child, and I'm starting to cry again, a child and her father, because it is towards Nikolaus and not so much Alexandra. So I think Nikolaus had a lot of karma. He was supposed to do things that he didn't do, and obviously I can do readings on that too and kind of figure that one out, but it feels maybe it's some lessons there to take from this, but I also believe that it's time to close it out, to end it, and to move on. Now I'm done.